Leicester are gone kaput into the Championship, and there's only one man whose tactics it feels right to rebuild Leicester with, and we need to remake his tactics first of all. It's Claudio Ranieri, the overachieving 4-4-2 that won Leicester the league in 2015. Let's get right into a tactic build and show you guys some awesome results. What's going on there, guys? Kempy here, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another tactic rebuild of a manager from the past glory, and this time it's of Leicester. Claudio Ranieri, you need to come in and save the boys because Leicester have been relegated to the Championship, and that's a little bit of a shock, to be honest. In like 7 years they've gone from Premier League winners to a Championship side, and I have to say I'm not the biggest fan of Leicester, but it's a little bit of a shame to see the fall from grace. I mean, even like I think this year they were in the Europa Conference League, if not last year. There's some unbelievable talent if we just take a look at the squad. I mean, just go through the ability of some of these players: Harvey Barnes, James Maddison, Yuri Tillemans, Patson Daka, Ndidi, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, who's massively overrated in my opinion, Boubacar Samari, James Justin, Luke Thomas. There is some absolute talent in this Leicester squad. I think that is sort of portrayed by the fact that I've managed to do a sim with this tactic with Ranieri, which, to be honest, is a very good tactic, but it is not, you know, the most overpowered tactic in the world. It's a 4-4-2, which is quite a difficult formation to get working on FM while trying to keep a sort of sit style. We've come 5th in the league, coming Europa League, and winning an FA Cup, in which we beat Manchester United on penalties 2-2 through who scored the goals. It was a Jamie Vardy brace to get the trophy to Leicester, and to be honest, we just had a decent year. We were a few times up in the top 4, and then eventually just dropped down and settled in this 5th place, which, you know, is a fantastic finish for Leicester, given this is the exact team they've just had in real life, and they've come 18th, which is an absolute shocker. 71 goals, 4th highest in the league. Possession-wise, we're not on there because, to be honest, it's not a high possession system. And goals conceded as well. We did concede quite a few goals. It is quite a difficult system, and I'll show you guys what I mean when we get there to sort of make perfect, because it was a very different style of football to what we play nowadays. It's a very deep back line. It's 2 centre-backs that are just going to get rid of the ball at all costs. There's sort of a creative player in Damara's role on the right. There's a winger just whipping balls in like Mark Albrighton on the left, and you've got 2 strikers that are just going to run hell for leather and try and score as many goals as possible. But a decent season with Leicester nonetheless. I mean, data hub wise, we're looking at 1.87 goals per game, conceding just above the average at 1.37, which is good, because even though it wasn't the best tactic, it was still decent enough to get us into a Europa League position. I have got a test with a few other teams that I want to show you some of Ranieri's past side. So let's get right into that one, and then we'll come back to Leicester and I'll show you the tactic. If you guys can, make sure, as well, as per usual, at this point of the video, I give you a little reminder to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow on all these 4 wonderful things: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, what else is there? Twitch. And also, obviously, we've got a Patreon as well, so any rebuild files are now exclusive to Patreon, and it's just about way of you guys can support me a little bit more if you would like to. Obviously, it's completely up to you guys. It helps out massively. You're making my dreams come true. Now, Leicester, we're doing very well. Inter Milan, even better. We smashed the league, 12 points clear of this season's winners, Napoli, on 89 points with Inter Milan, and it does work well because there is 2 fantastic strikers at Inter Milan. One of them is the talk of the town at the moment. It's Romelu Lukaku, man's with Megan the Stallion, so fair play. That's why he's bagging 42 goals this season. And Lautaro Martinez also scoring 38. So 2 top strikers. We had to bring in the Megan the Stallion, didn't we? Quarterfinal of the Champions League by Chelsea, which is a little bit annoying. I'd have liked to have done at least a little bit better than that, and potentially gone out to a team better than that, but Chelsea won the Champions League again, of course, as they always do. And Coppa Italia, we actually lost in the 3rd round, the first game against Udinese, which is a bit frustrating, but we move on. It's, you know, not the end of the world. A decent little sim here with Inter Milan. And moving on to AS Monaco, we come 5th in the league. Now, again, I'm telling you guys, this tactic is not the best tactic in the world. It's quite a realistic recreation of the Ranieri style of play, so you're not going to just completely dominate the side, but it's quite nice to play a bit of an older style bit of football. 5th place, 67 points, just a point outside of 4th. A decent season. Again, round of 16 in the Champions League by Bayern Munich, who got to the final. we've been shafted in the Champions League. And Coupe de France, semi-final by Marseille, so a team that's come second in the league, a very strong side. And again, goals-wise, Ben Yedder, Volland doing absolute bits. And also, Valencia, we come fourth, obviously a team who are battling relegation in real life. We've done very well with them. We've won the Supercopa de España. We've got top 4 Champions League football back at the La Mestalla. And players-wise, scoring goals, Eddie Cavani, Samuel Lino, Hugo Duro. Goals galore. Cavani nearly a goal a game is fantastic, and you can see a lot of the goals are scored by the strikers. Again, data hub-wise, looking at 1.82 goals per game, just over 1 goal there, 1.5 and 0.97, and with Inter Milan, the sort of more powerhousey side, 2.53 goals per game, 0.92 conceded. Let's break down the tactic with Leicester, and then we can wrap up the video with you guys being able to download this Ranieri 442. Absolutely no messing about then today. We are straight into the tactic, and you can see it's a 4-4-2. It's classic English football. It's long ball. You got 2 very fast strikers. We'll go through it and we'll break down the tactic and show you guys how you can play the style. In goal, it's a goalkeeper on defender. I think this is quite literally the first time I've used a goalkeeper on defend this year. I always use a sweeper keeper, but not this year. Kasper Schmeichel, get it down long, son. Right back, across from deep is the only instruction. Danny Simpson, he was a decent right back, but he's a bit more defensive than your current right backs. Centre backs is basically a no-nonsense centre back, but I've not made it that. More direct passes, take fewer risks, close down less. Robert Huth and Wes Morgan were absolute warriors for Leicester back in the day, and that is what I would say they did. They shot less often, they dribbled less, they held position. A wing back on support. Now, the left back was, I believe, Christian Fuchs in their title-winning season. Very good left back, cross from deep, and a wing back on support, getting a little bit further forward and supporting the left midfielder, Mark Albrighton. Winger on support out here, cross from deep and get further forward. You got a box-to-box midfielder in the middle, tackle harder. Was that Danny Drinkwater, or who was the other one? Kante, of course. Who was the other one? It was Danny Drinkwater and Kante. So a box-to-box midfielder, a little bit more progressive in there, tackle harder, and a deep line playmaker and defend as well, would pass it shorter and tackle harder. That might be the other way round. Kante is the box-to-box, Drinkwater as a DLP on defend. Inverted winger on attack on the right, cross less often and roam from position. The Riyad Mahrez role, he was always involved with Leicester on that right-hand side, and I think that sort of emulates them tactics quite well. And the 2 advanced forwards are literally advanced forwards with nothing else. They're going to push the line as advanced forwards do. I mean, it quite simply says his primary duty is to be the focal point of attacking moves, and he's required to both score and create goals. So the 2 up there together, it was Okazaki and Vardy, and they did that perfectly together. It's a balanced mentality because they were a bit of an underdog side. They weren't very positive. It was, win at all costs and win the bloody league, which is pretty impressive. Fairly wide width, pass it into space, focus played on the left and the right, hit early crosses and whip them in, because Vardy and Okazaki were both smaller men, so we've gone with whipped crosses in there. Standard, I don't know what I've just pressed. Standard passing directness at a slightly higher tempo. Be more expressive. In transition, it's take short kicks. It's distribute to the fullbacks because Wes Morgan and Rob Huth would have just kicked it long. So that's what we've gone with, counter and counter press. And a high press system, get stuck in and press a bit more often as well. But the standard defensive line could have possibly been lower, but I really struggled with results having it as lower, so a standard defensive line in there as well. I mean, Leicester are a club, obviously we're not going to be using this save for the rebuild on Sunday. We will be rebuilding Leicester on Sunday from the Championship using I've used the Hood video to get the the San Marino start date. So Leicester will be down, it's all realistic, and there's a lot of players in this team which are not going to be staying around. There is some absolute talent in this Leicester side, and they're going to get, I personally think, like all of these players could end up pretty much leaving. There is some absolute talent here. I mean, Castagna, James Justin will probably stay, Pereira, Johnny Evans, Wout Faes could possibly go, Soyuncu, Bertrand, Victor Christensen's probably too good. He's a little bit younger, so he might stay around. Luke Thomas, Ndidi, Tielemans, Pratt, Mendy, Dewsbury Hall will probably stay, Samari, Madison, Iheanacho possibly will stay, Daka will go, Vardy will stay. So you're going to rip up this team, and it's going to be quite the rebuild. So make sure to come back on Sunday for that one. It's a big Leicester rebuild using Ranieri's 4-4-2. Can we get them back to winning a trophy? Well, that's all for you guys to find out on Sunday. Thank you for watching. Make sure to come back for another tactic tomorrow, not based on a manager, it's just a wild one, and one that was actually created from a Patreon member who requested a tactic. I made it and it was too good to not release. So that is coming out tomorrow, the rebuild on Sunday. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next time.